Hello and welcome to Bending, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your pioneering, innovating hosts. Joining me as always is our other pioneering and innovating host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I just want to... Go ahead.
I can't believe I flubbed the podcast.
You sure did.
Anyway, we're keeping it.
First time ever. I just want to have a moment. We had our Andy knows this, but our bunny of 11 years passed away. Just a moment to mention Sophie, the male bunny that lived in my dining room for the last decade. So he passed away last week. And had a very happy bunny life, but it's definitely been sad in our house, and we miss him. But if we could all get fed a banana that we demand in the morning, be able to nap,
as tribute,
under the dining room table, and bite people's toes and be happy.
Beth messaged me about this, and I was just looking at the messages to make sure I got it right. And I did send both a heartfelt, "I'm sorry to hear it, Beth," and then I said he was a real thought leader for modern pronoun usage, though, and no one can take that away from him.
He was like, definitely. And I was looking for photos of him because the kids wanted to put up a memorial over the fireplace, and I didn't have any printed pictures. And the last picture I took of him was you feeding him his banana in the morning. Yeah.
Really? No way.
So,
special
yeah,
time for me.
His name was Sophie because I love the name Sophie. And when I bought him, he was in this little, I bought him from a pet store, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I'd had a rabbit as a kid, and I was like, rabbits are the best pets ever. And he was in this little container that said "Girl Bunny," and I was like, okay. So I took him at their word, and then I went to get him fixed, and they were like, "There's good news and bad news. The bad news is Sophie's a boy," and I was like, okay. And they're like, "The good news is this is going to cost a lot less because it's not like, it's an external surgery, not an internal surgery." So at that point he was like 6 months old, and I wasn't gonna. Everyone was like, "You got to change his name," and I was like, "No, I don't." So yeah.
He's a modern dude.
True.
And that's we stand a modern dude in this
that's
podcast,
right.
And we're very sorry to see him go.
Yeah. So that's the crack. What about you?
So I have been slowly, painfully making my way through season 2 of Twin Peaks. Holy shit! Season 1 was wonderful, loved it. Season 2 is brutal, and it's interesting because I'm now starting to read a little bit more about it, and how basically season 2 was mostly taken away from David Lynch.
I did not know that.
Or he didn't have. He basically, I think what happened was it was so wildly popular. The first season came out end of television season, so April, May of one year. The second season then turned up in September of that year, and it was, instead of 8 episodes, 23 episodes long. So how you're going to keep that level of quality up, it was impossible, but it is hard going, I must say. Now there's still fun stuff in there, and I'm determined to make my way through it, but yikes, compared to how lovely how much I really loved season 1, it's a tough old journey, but yeah, it's
wasn't Laura Dern? Isn't Laura Dern in season? Is she in season 2?
Oh, and she's not. I am episode maybe 17. Is it maybe Heather Graham you're thinking of? Heather Graham's has just appeared, which has been cool. Also, Billy Zane appeared not so long ago.
We were just they're in this too. They're in this too. I love it.
I Molly Shannon just appears briefly for one sequence as well. It's wild. But it is a shame because I love the first season so much, and there's still enough of it that I like, and I kind of want to see where it goes. I want to watch Fire Walk With Me, so I'm determined to make it through. But it has been tough, 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 tough.
Oh, that's what it was. No.
So
okay, no, they okay. Sorry, in my mind garden, they did a revival of Twin Peaks in 2017, and Laura Dern was
they
part
did
of that, and so I was right. I wasn't wrong. I was just looking at the nostalgia cash grab one.
Yes, she was part of the Twin Peaks-averse.
Mm-hmm.
The larger Twin Peaks. I will get to that show eventually, that season eventually as well, because I kind of want to see the complete thing.
Yeah.
Now it's not like anything else I've seen before, so it's definitely worth a look from that point of view. Since we last spoke, I had some dog sitting fun. No, it wasn't fun. It was not completely traumatizing, but I was like dog sitting for like 5 days. The dogs that I was sitting were fine, but I was also like walking a dog every day for those 5 days, and that's
a lot.
Challenging. It was just at a busy time for me, and I was very happy whenever those 5 days were over.
So do you take the dogs that you're sitting walking with you as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like, yeah, and like whenever I have, so like, you know, Sasha's pretty easy to walk in that you can just leave her off lead, and she's pretty good, but she does get distracted very easily, and sometimes you will like be struggling with two other dogs, walk down the road and look back, and she's like 100 feet behind you, like sniffing something, and you're like, great, thank you.
Yes. Or she's in the mud.
Yes, or she's in the mud, more to the point. So yeah, so that, you know, I'm glad. Like I say, I have one more before the end of the year, but it's one of my favorite guys in the world, so I'm happy to have him for an overnight. That's no big deal.
To cap it off.
Okay, another thing was, we talked about it briefly, my choir's Christmas show is coming up very soon, so I've kind of been just working through that and getting everything kind of in place. Very much, as I said to Beth, excited for it, but I'm also excited for it to be over and to be on the other side of it. But yeah, I mean, like, it's always good whenever you see these things kind of come together and like your hard work sort of, you know, coming to fruition, but also it is kind of nerve-wracking. Not to the same extent as it was last year, let's put it that way, but still not nerve-wracking.
It's always nice, like, I remember working at events, and like if it was an annual event, it made me feel so much better than when it was like a one-off, because you've already done it once, the muscle memory's there, you know, so you can really just deal with the stuff that's, you know, when the shit hits the fan, you know, that's like, that's what you want, is for everything else to be like in place so that you can deal with those things.
And I think that's kind of where I'm at now, and like I kind of know things, and like, you know, to improve it and things like that. So yeah, we're in better shape, I think. So yeah, so that's been the crack with me. Do you have what's current for us this week?
I don't. Can I back up to just ask if you guys have heard?
Sure.
No. Have you heard about the United or Health? Was it the United Healthcare? It doesn't matter.
Oh yes, I have.
The CEO that was.
Gone down in New York City.
Yep.
Wild. Very interesting to see the relatively bipartisan response that has come of this, where people are going, health insurance is fucked and something needs to be done. And because like a lot of like pundits are going, this is terrible, this is happening to this guy. And it's like, well, or even, you know, I saw the police coming out and saying, we don't know what the motive is, and people are like going, are you crazy? There are millions of people who have potential motive to kill this guy, because they were the company in the US who denied the highest percentage of claims by a considerable margin. That's, I mean, like, you know, I think the US healthcare system, on my understanding, is in terribly bad shape and is very like, I think that like a lot of these companies sound like they are increasingly more predatory in terms of how they operate, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's just it's you know, I obviously never condone murder ever. No. But it's just, I'm watching the news and I'm watching the responses, and the CEO that was murdered, his ex-security guard was like, I can't believe he didn't have security with him. And I
Yeah.
was like, the fact that the head of an insurance company needs 24-hour security from the public is
Yeah.
a very interesting kind of like statement on our society and healthcare in our society
100%.
today, and like privatized
There,
healthcare.
the statement I saw that I think made a ton of sense and I think spoke to a lot of people was somebody saying, I don't condone it, but I
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah,
And that's kind of like, chilling. Like, and when they
it
talk
is
about, like,
chilling.
in terms of the decisions that he's made and probably the lives that has, how many lives that has cost, probably in America, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. So, like, if I am sorry. I am sad that somebody got shot. It's never good. I'm sad for their family in particular.
Yeah.
But if this actually starts a proper conversation about how these health insurance companies operate in America,
It
then
actually
it's
did. So
yeah.
I can't remember the name of the company, but they had just, I think last week, said that they were going to stop
Oh, I heard about this.
giving basically for it's kind of like when you take your car to the mechanic and they say like, oh, you need your brakes redone, your brake pads replaced. So they average out the amount of time that it's supposed to take, and that's what they charge you for in terms of like, time that the mechanic's gonna parts and the mechanic time. They average it out to be 4 hours, and whether or not the mechanic needs that much time, that's what they charge you for. So this company wanted to do that with anesthesia for surgery. And once your time limit for that procedure ran out, they were going to stop the anesthesia.
Which is
Yeah.
monstrous.
So that this guy was murdered in the streets of New York City. The next day, the company changed that policy and
I
said that
heard
they
that.
will, in fact, cover it. So, and then they wiped all the CE. It's just fascinating to watch. They've wiped all the CEOs' photos and information from all their websites. Everyone's
Yeah.
reaching out to all of these, private security firms for
Yeah.
armed protection, and the person that murdered the CEO has disappeared, and no one, normally you get like all these internet sleuths that are like, I'm going to help
Yeah.
you solve the crime. Like no one's helping. So
Nope.
interesting,
Nope.
interesting
Which is,
times
yeah.
always.
It is. It is. There was a tweet many years ago. Somebody referenced this. Where it was basically like, if we just eat one billionaire, the rest of them will step in line. And it's kind of what's happened
Yeah.
here. Like, and they're like, oh shit, the stakes are real. So like I mean. Certainly, it's my opinion on healthcare that it should not be privatized, because you cannot run healthcare as a for profit. You
No.
just can't. It's just not. That's just not how health works, in my opinion. So like, hopefully it will. Somebody being shot is never good, but if it pushes things in the right direction, then it's maybe a worthwhile sacrifice.
Yeah. And having been through the healthcare system in a time when I needed good health care, and knowing that I was worth more to them dead than alive. So it's a horrible place to be. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Really
I
great.
know. So anyways, that's weird.
Yep. That is weird.
I don't have
So-
anything current other than I think I made a request a couple weeks ago to tell your friends about us. Please do that. Also, your enemies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Enemies,
we'll take
friends.
it. We'll take
A listen's
anybody.
A listen.
A listen's a
A
listen.
listen's a listen. Like, yeah.
So,
Okay, my what's occurring is, okay, so it's the second week of this feature, right?
okay.
So my corrections and omissions section called SpaghettiOs, okay? So I've done some research. I need to clarify that I did not, in fact, invent the term SpaghettiOs. So it's been used before, apparently.
handy.
So
do you have to rename it, or are you just going to go for it and hope
no,
we don't get
I
sued?
refuse. I'm just keeping
Okay.
it. I'm gonna have to hope we don't get sued. So yeah. So it's still called the SpaghettiOs. I just can't trademark it. So, bit of bad news for Andy, and just wanted to inform the fans, if you had heard it before somehow, then you weren't imagining things. It does pre-exist. So yeah, that's our corrections and omissions for this week
Huh.
in OO Spaghettios.
Well, yeah. So it dates all the way back to 1965, Andy. I'm
What?
sorry. Pre you being alive in this
It's
world.
probably a. It's probably some sort of Back to the Future scenario that I will get involved with in the next few years of my life. I'm
I
imagining
think
because
so.
that's. I think that's the only thing that can explain
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Okay, so we move on to this week's topic. Okay. So we are, last week we talked about some nostalgia. We were looking back. This week we're looking forward. And we are going to talk about the future, which I have titled, and we're we're talking about these on the pod at the minute, is called Stare into the Future. But that seems pretty insane to me right now, so I don't know if you've got a better one. Stare into the future.
That
Open your mind.
I know. Open your mind. Open your mind. I like it. The future's good.
Okay. So just thinking about the future and what we kind of want from it. I both kind of probably guess on a personal level and maybe for the world perhaps. But yeah, we just thought it'd be because I think it is something that can be scary. I certainly, especially this time of year, maybe have a negative opinion and that sort of negative sort of mindset when it comes to that. I was clever in that I wrote my notes on this when I was feeling good-ish, so I have some happy ones.
Good.
But it can be a tough one to navigate at times.
It's interesting because I think I normally don't. It's right. We're changing the calendar year, and so with that always comes all of the make your resolutions kind of stuff, and I think we usually try and steer away from that, or at least I have been. But this year I kind of want to do it.
Oh, make a resolution.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if anything comes out of this productive, as always, conversation. But I kind of looked at okay, in a year, what do I want things to look like? In 5 years, do I have a 5-year plan? Do I have a 10-year plan? 20, 30, 40? When am I dying? And all of the existential questions that come from all of those things. And then I just kind of have other questions about flying cars. So
sure, which is the really important stuff that they're
exactly.
Because I think about it and it's we had an episode about birthdays relatively recently, and you asked me the question, do you want to live until you're 100? Do you want to live to see your 100th birthday? And the immediate thought that flashed through my mind that I did not say was, I don't want to make it on my 50th birthday, but pushed it down and I was like, yeah, okay, let's actually give some thought to this question. But yeah, because it's scary, it's the unknown, but it is definitely worth considering. So, do you have anything when we first started talking about this topic? Do you have anything that immediately sprang to mind?
I guess it's kind of morbid. I had two things. So one's morbid, and and I'll start there. I guess
my favorite.
Before I got long COVID, I was I could die today and it would be fine. I've had a good life, all good. Yep. And then I got long COVID, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm dying. I need to figure out if I want to fight it or not. And then I found out that I did want to fight it, and now death is scary to me in a way that it wasn't before.
Yep.
And that's no fun.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, but that's good, and that's healthy, I think, as well.
To be scared of death.
I think
yeah. It's a human emotion.
I think it is.
And then the other thing I thought was that I think I'm a more negative person than a positive person. Thinking about these things, and thinking about what do I want in my future, and what things about myself do I want to work on. And I have a really negative view of the world. Yeah. And I think, if anything, I kind of want to change that about myself. And okay, so on the last episode, I talked about girls. And there's this episode where she goes to like surf camp to write an article about like how white white women who teach yoga are like invading surf culture. Which is
sense.
totally does, because we did that. We
Yeah.
went to Portugal.
Yeah, we did.
Ours was a cooler experience, and it wasn't like a retreat type thing.
True.
But her surf instructor was basically like, like these are easy things to think about, but like, isn't love so much easy? Like, isn't it so much easier to love than to hate? And I was like, oh, yeah, it should be. But yet, it's like I always go for the darker side of things. And I even noticed that with our podcast. Like, you're the lighter side of things. And I feel like I'm like, yeah, I think you are. I don't know. Listeners, tell us. Is Andy the Force and I'm Darth Vader? I don't know. Sometimes, but I feel like that. And even like my answers to my own questions about the future, I'm like negative.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wonder whether it's also the kind of, it speaks to the like outwards sort of version of ourselves that we put out there versus maybe what's going on underneath the surface. Perhaps it's that. And like, I think that, I think that the closer the closer you are to those negative feelings, the more you see the importance of having the positive feelings, and why I try to tell more people I love them these days and things like that, because I see the necessity of putting that out into the world, both for me and for the people that I love, because I think that like it is hard. I think it's hard out there for absolutely everybody, and it's good to know that like somebody loves you. There's like a, but like it just helps me with my sort of negative mindset. The mindset that was like, that still is like,
I don't want to live to see 50.
Like, well, yeah. And also was like 15 years ago was like, you know what? When this whole MCU thing sees itself through to a fitting conclusion, I'm good to go after that. And it did. I think Endgame was a good conclusion. I was like, I'm good to go whenever. I'm quasi serious, but also kind of like recognize how kind of ridiculous that is in another way. So yeah, I think speaking from personal experience, being closer to that void of like depression and whatever makes me more keen to like poke fun at life, existence, but also recognize that I want to do things from a place of love as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. I don't even have a amount of self-awareness around it yet, I don't think. I think part of it is, raising tiny humans.
Yeah.
But Harper said, because she made something for our next door neighbor who's a veteran, and her teacher's a veteran, and so they made these little like wreaths to give to a veteran, and she was like, I wanted to give it to Susan, so we made like a Christmas card, and we delivered it yesterday to our very introverted neighbor who was like, thank you, sorry about the leaves, bye, not knowing that Harper had spent like all this time and effort, and it was she made this just for this woman, and blah blah blah, but like it was just like the kindest gesture,
Yeah.
And I was so impressed. I was just like, you're just the nicest person, and like you make the world a better place. And she's like, I get it from you, Mama. And I'm like, I don't know if you do, because I'm just like, like my inner monologue is just like so.
But it is that, isn't it? Like, and it's that how other people see you, and I think she's right about that. Like, because you care, and like you're compassionate, and also I see that you are aware when people are hurting, and you want to be able to do something about it. And I think that is not super common, right? And I think that's important.
Yeah,
but so I can see that
Yeah.
too. But like, I totally get how your probably interview of that is completely different.
I think I've got a skewed view of myself. I think
Yeah.
I think we all probably
I think
do.
that's yeah.
But I think, just in terms of, future thinking, like I would like to be nicer.
Yeah.
And I also think that I'm a product of our civilization and
Yes.
what things are happening in the world. And I think Twitter probably makes everyone evil. That's why we're not on it
I
anymore, people.
yes,
I took
smart.
us off.
Yeah, that's smart. I think that like being a compassionate person in this world is tough. I think we need those people. I mean, there would be no point to life if we didn't have those people. I think, but like, because there is so much horrible shit out there in the world. I mean, we're literally just talking about like medical insurance not so long ago. So it's like, and how awful that is, and how like, I've been reading articles about it this week just because it's back in the topic, and they talk about like how so many of the people that work in that industry are fucking monsters because anybody who gives a shit about humans can't stay in it once they realize how it works, and so you just have all the worst people just trying to squeeze as much money out of other folks as they possibly can. It's fucking crazy. But like I and I think I've said this to you before, or a version of it. Like as much like pain as I'm in mentally a lot of the time, I am happy. I much prefer being an aware, for the most part, and compassionate person than the alternative. I think that would be so much worse, and I'm so happy I'm not.
Yeah. And I think that's why we're friends, because like we are. I think we're very similar people.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I think that I see your compassion for the world. I see your humor about the dark parts, and I think like we reflect that at each other, and like we can riff on it pretty well without taking each other like too seriously on any of the horrible fucked up shit that we say or think.
Yes. Because like I think I told you before, nothing like makes me actually worried whenever I say something dark as a joke and people get really serious and like really start paying attention and give me a really serious stare, and I'm like, oh fuck. I need to pop this balloon every now and again, or else I'll lose my mind.
It's true. So I guess, do you have do you have a plan for the next year of like things you would like to do?
So
process.
I really kind of want to learn. Oh God. Okay. I mean, I want to learn an instrument, or I want to get involved in music more. I don't know what that shape that's going to take. Recently, I've got my ukulele. I've got this other piece of musical equipment.
The pink ukulele.
My pink ukulele. It's still sitting here. I am trying to declutter my life somewhat so I can actually make time to get involved in this. It's like I certainly, with the podcast and with the choir to an extent, I am definitely doing things that scratch that creative itch a little bit more. But I want to. Those are the things that I actually enjoy doing a lot of the time, week on week. So I want to see if I can make that more. I want to bring more of that into my life. So that's something I want to do over the next year. In terms of larger plans, I see one of two things happening, which is that either I meet somebody because I really need that. I think if I don't have that soon,
you can just say you're ready.
Yes.
Not that you need it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, I think I do need it.
That's okay. I think you can say both. But I would say getting to the point of being ready has been a slog. It has been the hero's journey.
Very much so. And whether I fully am there or not, I don't fully know, but I am inch by inch clawing my way towards it at least now. Or if that doesn't happen, depending on Sasha, my dog's health, I could see myself leaving this country for a while again. I don't know what shape that's going to take, but I think if I don't have a relationship again, I think I just need to go on an adventure again and like kind of just like challenge myself in that way again. Those are the two things in the near future I think are going to happen. One of those two things.
That's good. I like both of those for you.
Hmm.
And I think either way you'll end up with someone.
Yeah, we'll see. I am like what's like I'm kind of aware how difficult it must be for people with me, because like I am so tough. Like, you know, I once you get past my wall of bullshit, I've talked about this before, it's fine, and I like hold those people close and those people love me, but like getting past that wall is really tough, and like it's such a big component in meeting somebody you're gonna potentially date, you know. So
just getting out of your own way.
Yeah. The challenge
so
of
easy,
my fucking
right?
entire life. Yeah, I know. But yeah, what about your thoughts over the next foreseeable future?
I'd like to relax.
Yes, I would like that for you
like
also.
Just chill the fuck out. I'd like podcasts definitely.
Yeah.
Is my happy place. So more of this in whatever shape that takes. Yeah, I think working on just not having such a negative inner monologue and sometimes outer monologue. Because I also am worried that like my children are going to get bigger and realize that I'm actually like a really negative, awful person.
I don't think so.
I know. But like, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, obviously I want to keep the kids alive and happy. That's a goal always.
Yeah.
And like, we were doing, I had mentioned this on one of our conversations. We were talking about the Dust Bowl, and I was talking about it with Harper, my daughter, and like explaining the Great Depression and like what that was and how that impacted the Dust Bowl in our country's history. And it's like so much of parenting, it's weird. It's like spoon feeding them little bits of bad news and then knowing eventually that they'll see the whole picture.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, that's happening to me too, right? Like I'm seeing little bits and eventually so I'm like, what whole picture am I not seeing yet? And I would like to be like more conscious of that in a weird way. Like, maybe, I hate the term world citizen, but I feel like I need to be more engaged and involved in what's happening in the world, even though it sucks.
I think it's such a delicate balance that though as well, right? Because like you also have to think about how much exposure your brain can handle.
I was just gonna say the exact same words. So So I think I think I'd like to be on technology less. I think I numb out. I think I numb out a lot. I think I watch too much TV. I don't read enough books. It's like all this shit. I don't do the yoga. I don't read the books. I watch the TV. I listen to the podcasts. You know, like I want to like take myself back to before smartphones a little bit. And we've talked about this, but actually like implement more of that into my daily life. So there's small goals or whatever, resolutions, but I feel like they're small, but they're deep. So.
Yeah, I like them. They're good ones. Like, you know, I think smartphones are a fucking nightmare, and again, it's such such a necessary part of modern life as well, which is like the grim reality of them.
Yeah. And can I just bitch about them really quick? Like,
sure.
I flew a couple weeks ago to New York City and back, and like just like getting my boarding pass on my phone and trying to like navigate that, and then it disappeared. And I'm like, I don't know where it is, so I had to go to the counter and get a printed ticket anyway. And I'm just like, they are forcing you, kind of like I mentioned that Amazon, their whole marketing gig is like, we want to be there when you're thinking about buying something, so that you buy it. And it's like they're forcing us to always to use our phones for everything. So like, this is what, it's even sitting here next to me, to the point where I can pick it up and show it to Andy over the video. But like,
it's here. I'm really
so like, but that pisses me the fuck off. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be on it. I want to be able to use my computer, and everything is dictating that I use this for everything. And I don't even keep passwords on here, so I'm always having to log into shit, and I don't remember my password, and I can reset the fucking thing, and then do this goddamn authorization, and then get the text, and then check the email, and I can't. Like, you have shitty safety systems is not my problem. Let me go.
Like, I have made some strides in recent years with smartphones, so whereas, like, I think I've talked about this before, where I don't sleep with it in the same room as me anymore. I've done that for 3 or 4 years. I really think everybody should do that, and just, so, like, and I also try to, like, not, so, like, if I am wanting to go to sleep, all I have is my book, so I'll read my book, you know. Easier
Shut up,
done,
Andy.
of course, for depending. I mean, like, I've got no real responsibilities. The only responsibility I have is the dog, and she can't use a phone yet. So, like, you know, it's no big deal. She's not even there anyway, like, fucking complaining at me. Oh, it's emergency. It's like, oh god, what's the emergency? And you go out and she's like, breakfast. I'm like, great. Oh, that was a fucking emergency? Was you wanted your fucking breakfast? Great. Anyway. Enough of my home strife. So no, but like I totally get it. But like, it's interesting because like my friend the other day, I saw him, and I was talking about my phone, and I'm like, I only check it a handful of times throughout the day, and he's like, I know, because he like likes to call people, and he calls me all the time, and I never answer because like my phone's always in do not disturb, and I just don't look at it for hours and hours at a time, you know, because like it just fucking stresses me out. It's like, even when I'm on it, I it's so rare I would scroll through Instagram or Facebook or any of those things, because they just depress the fucking shit out of me, you know.
I deleted them again the other day. I was just like, why just get off of them, you know. Anything I can do on the computer, and then that's like, like with the podcast, like I do all that, I put it all on the different socials, and then I just like get off as fast as possible, and then I'll check once a week to see if anybody's, you know, said anything or had any comments. But like, I really that's my future, is less of this bullshit.
I love it. I think the other one that I wrote down for me, and it's like something I've been circling my whole life, is that I would like to write something. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if writing's the medium for me. I don't know whether it's like, you know, pursue more poetry, or whether it's writing short stories. Or maybe like finally finishing. I mean, like, I've written issues of comics, but I don't know that any of them are like in shape for me to actually realistically do anything with them. But just as an exercise, it was great to do, you know. So you know, I want to do more with that. Like, it's interesting, because something that may indulge some of that in the next wee while is that I think I might have spoken about this before in the podcast. I've been asked to run a D&D campaign for some friends. I did. Okay, so I'm doing that in the new year.
You told me
and I'm
this.
excited for that. Yes, I don't know if I mentioned it on pod, but I told you certainly anyway. So I'm excited for that, because somebody recently was going, you know, do you ever think about doing some more improv? And I'm like, D&D, especially running a DM, kind of is improv. I mean, you have characters in mind, but you're like reacting to what your players are doing. So I quite like the challenge of that. I quite like having a kind of loose, you know, idea of where things are going, and then reacting to what people are saying. So I'm quite I'm really looking forward to that as a creative exercise. But, And it probably have to do some writing for that as well, which would be fun.
I still I still want to work in movies somehow.
Yeah.
That's like longer term goal. And I did I've got my dad's screenplays. I did send a few out. Did I tell you this to agents?
A while ago, or like I know
this
you.
was maybe like 2 months ago, and I did get a couple of responses, and I did. One of them was like, "Can you sign a form? Basically, you sign a form that gives them 3 months to read through your screenplay, and then, but they can't steal your ideas. So it's like a two pager. So that someone is looking maybe at one of them.
Very cool.
And then you sent me a version of Final Draft that you were able to have. So I think honestly, I keep talking about this fucking show Girls. It's not necessarily well written. It's so accessible. And I think that's it inspired me a little bit because it was created, written by, and starred in, and I don't want to do all those things.
Yes.
I would like to be in the background.
That's a nightmare.
I'm a background person, definitely. I know we're doing a podcast, but this is as far out of my comfort zone as I will go in that regard.
Yep.
But I'm wondering, could I do something like that?
Well, I think, and I can think of other stuff that really makes, like in terms of my experience with Girls, is what I think is so interesting about Girls is it feels like a really distinct voice, right? In terms of like whenever, and I'd say other stuff has probably aped it to an extent since then, but whenever it kind of came onto the scene, there wasn't much else like that. And I think there's something about the kind of authenticity of that. Somebody like, I was listening to something recently and they were talking about that in regards like Diablo Cody's movies as well. And I think, she was very kind of like, had a very distinct voice as well, so I think, from that point of view, if you write something that is very much from, the core of who you are.
It's got to be authentic.
Yeah.
Or it can be a reboot.
I think you can do that. Yeah. Just reboot. Hold on.
What's the alien line that you used in the last episode?
Get away from her, you bitch.
I could just do that kind of work.
Did you just call a project "Get Away from Her, you bitch"? Why not? Fucking who cares?
You want to write a screenplay with me? where we just steal from all the different things that we like.
God, I wonder. That is not a terrible idea. It's just like doing a screenplay that every single line is just lifted from another screenplay. I do quite like. There's something perversely appealing about that.
I like it. No one steal our idea, or do it better.
Yeah, how dare you?
Okay, I have a hard question for you.
Okay.
And you may have like an inner answer and an outer answer. If you could ask your future self one question, what would it be?
My future self? Jeez.
I know. I was like, Andy's going to have a hard time with this one. Or he's going to say that's a good one.
I mean, initially it's like, Jesus Christ, are you still alive? What the fuck? That's just supposed to be over by now, you asshole. Why are you dragging this shit out? I guess probably it would be something along the lines of, is always going to be this bad? Has it gotten better? I think would be a good question that I would want to ask. I think about that in regards to like, talking to like past me as well, because like although I struggle and have always, I have a better understanding of the shape of it now. I have like tools that are useful sometimes, things like that. So like, the complete kind of mystery of my mental health before was a lot more traumatic, I think, than probably.
I think it was a lot scarier.
Big
and there's
time.
More understanding and acceptance for it.
Yeah, I've absolutely had things that have come into my life, both people and, like my yoga practice and stuff like that, that has made an enormous difference to me, and has also like changed me in great ways. So like, it's, I suppose, just like, I would just kind of want to know if I had continued to evolve.
That's a really
I think.
excellent question.
Hmm.
I kind of thought
What do
you
you
would
think?
say something like that. I just didn't know. Yeah, that's a really good answer. Mine's really shallow.
No, not at
It's
all.
like, do I ever get to work in the movies?
I love it. I love it.
I think I really want it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you do. I
yeah,
mean, we talked about it a
yeah.
lot, so
I think
like,
I'm like
yeah,
maybe to the point of actually, yeah, like making little strides. But I think I think I need an agent, and
yes,
then once I get that, then I need some kind of fire lit under my ass, and once that happens, then
yes,
I that's usually my jumping off point into workaholism.
yes. Like, yeah, absolutely. And I think that like the thing is, like these things are like not like entirely out of reach. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not at all. Like it's just about like because certainly we've talked about it. You're more involved in like the creative side of things, so it's just like getting stuff done and
Yeah,
putting it out there. But like both of which are like scary and hard things to do. Don't get me wrong, but like they are achievable if you have drive for
yeah.
sure.
And I think that's what I'm lacking right now.
Yeah, which is it's the hardest thing to
Yeah,
find. I think it really
yeah.
is.
But once I have it, it's like there's no stopping me. Which
Hmm.
uh, whether or not that's a good or bad thing, haha.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. It can go too far the other
Right.
way. I know. I know.
Um.
Yeah.
Does I guess like how does the concept of the future does it affect your daily life?
Um. I don't think so. I don't think I. What is it? They say depression is worrying about the past. Anxiety is worrying about the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think I worry about the past a lot more than I worry about the future. Or I worry about the past and the present a lot more than I think about the future in any sort of meaningful
Mm-hmm.
way. You know, I, as part of the choir show that I'm going to be doing, I'm probably going to have to do some public speaking. And there was, I saw a thing recently, and it was like, there was a poll where the things people fear the most are number one, public speaking, and then number two, death. And it's like people would rather be
Did
dead
have to public speak.
than speak publicly. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like, there's a certain amount of freedom in terms of like me going whatever. I don't give a fuck about like I obviously do give a fuck, and I worry a little bit, but I'm kind of like, I have been in bad places. Nothing is going to be like accidentally misspeaking a word when I'm publicly speaking is not never going to be as bad as that, and it's there's something kind of freeing about that in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think it really does affect me in a major way. What about you?
I don't like I tend to think that I don't live in the present, but I think I do
Mm-hmm.
more than I think I do more than I think I do.
Yeah.
um like I used to make 5 and 10 year plans. I used to be like way more type A than I am now. Now I'm type like
Yeah.
F, but um I I really have no control over any of the things or any of the
It's
outcomes,
true.
and I recognize that more and more, as hard as it is, and like have to keep being reminded of that thing. But yeah, I really, you know, even with, I would say like maybe 8 years ago, things that were happening in the world would feel a lot more personal and would affect my
Yeah.
view of the future. But, I think a lot of the worst things in the world that could happen have happened at this point. Um,
Yeah.
or are being threatened to happen. And so I think even though that's like looming, I'm still not freaked out about it.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to be desensitized to it, but that's kind of where I'm at.
I think, like, having a healthy amount of acceptance is good, right? I mean, because, like, there are various situations where it's just like, well, I did what I could, but what has happened, and I just have to accept that that's where we're at
Yeah.
right now.
And not get too wrapped up in it.
No, because I think you just end up causing yourself so much more pain by just, like, it just makes what is a bad situation so much worse if you're just dwelling on it, again, when there's nothing you can do to make a difference.
Yeah. So is there anything in the future that makes you worry?
I worry about losing people, because, like, obviously that's an inevitable part of life, and I think that I have been, for better or for worse, extremely lucky in my life that I haven't really lost. I mean, I've lost grandparents and things like that, and they meant a lot to me, but, like, I've never lost anybody that I am extremely close with, and I've spent big chunks of my life with, and I think it's gonna really like how, like, hard I feel things, so it's gonna suck. Like, so it does stress me out a bit.
That's on my list, like, especially like losing Mike or the kids. Like, I think I just kill myself. So yay. I also wrote down AI. That freaks me out.
Yeah. What about AI killing you? I mean,
like in a Terminator kind of way. Like, okay, I think.
I'm like,
it was Skynet flying and, like,
AI overlords. Just like, Skynet flies in, I'm like, sweet.
Laser me.
You can, laser me. You're almost certainly going to do a much better job than our current people in charge.
I know, right?
So why not? Let's go nuts, guys. Let's give you guys a whirl.
I guess the unknown, as a larger topic. So.
No, I hear you. Yeah, it's so true. It is, and it's like, life fucking trundles on in a kind of like, there's very little you can do. But I as much as I kind of, feel a certain amount of helplessness in terms of, like, how much I can impact this thing, there's also a certain amount of, like, comfort in that, like, the idea that, your circle of influence is actually really tiny, and to really kind of, like, not, I mean, obviously easier to say than do this, but, like, not to worry too much about that is kind of like, I still kind of take some comfort in that. I still can't at times.
That you're not Taylor Swift.
Yeah, if only. $1.5 billion ticket sales this past tour. Right. Wow, go Taylor.
I know, go Taylor.
Tay, sorry, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Are you a Swiftie?
She's no none of my other kind of faves. Beth, you know what's happening with me at the minute? It's talking about the future is I really want to go to a Charlie XCX concert, and all the fucking boring bastards in my life are like, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm like, yeah, that's only because you've decided you're too old for that.
True.
And I'm like, I mean, like, I really don't think I want to go by myself because, like,
you'll be the older guy.
Yeah, I don't want to be a 45-year-old amongst a sea of teenagers, particularly. Yeah. Like, I don't have if it wasn't for the creepy aspect of it, I wouldn't give a shit. But I don't want to be like having fun at Charlie XCX concert. I would be, it would seep into my brain too much. It wouldn't be good.
I remember going to see Spice World at like the 11 o'clock show at night, and it was like me and my friend and like all these like 50-year-old men. I was like, oh. This is weird.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think you should go to the show by yourself. It's not. You know what? You live your life, Andy Young.
Yeah. I probably will go because I'd really like to see her, but like and like again, maybe I'll get like a VIP box, so there probably will be some older people in there or something like that. Or, no, I'm not gonna do that.
All right.
I'm just gonna stand in the back and nurse a pint as I listen to Charlie XCX. So yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
So what will your role be once the inevitable zombie apocalypse happens?
Instant victim. I'm just gonna lie down and let the zombies eat me. I'm like, oh, thank God. Phew! This is a real relief. This is a real weight off my chest.
I could just be the undead.
Eat away, boys. Eat away. Yeah.
I think I'm going to be driving a military vehicle. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so would you drive a flying car?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I would. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, like, I have a, I would like to go. I would love to like see space.
Really?
But, like, I also can't. Yeah, because because of sci-fi and things like that. I would love to actually like at least go into one of those planes that goes to the close to the edge of orbit. Yeah, or the atmosphere yet rather. And
so you can see like the curvature of the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yes. I would love to, but I am also kind of disgusted about the money that's spent on these things and how wasteful they are compared to the real problems here on Earth. So I don't think I ever will, but just the nerd in me would love to see that. Yeah.
I would not. I would not want to go to space. I have no interest in going to space. Space freaks me out.
Yeah, I think that's normal.
Yeah, no, it like really freaks me out. I'm just like, what, like cold and dark and like I can't even. It freaks me out. I don't like space. Space is scary. I'm wondering like what I need to get my pilot's license in order to fly a car. What are the loopholes and like the legality around that?
It's true. I mean, these are all things we're gonna have to deal with in the next 5 to 10 years.
And like they're saying that a lot of the pilots out here, because we live in the desert and like they do a lot of trainings because we're right by the naval base, but that a lot of the testing that they're doing on these like super high fast jets and like breaking new barriers of speed and all that is like changing their brains and like mushing them. So I'm like, that's a worry I have. I don't want to have CTE because I drive a flying car.
I hear you.
I'm just thinking logically, Andy.
It concerns me, like putting humans in charge of flying cars. Generally, I saw a video the other day, and it was a lady in a golf cart, and she was driving on the wrong side of the golf cart. She had her phone in her hand, and she drove into somebody's wall, and she went through the front. She fell out. She picked herself up, phone still in hand. The golf buggy had rolled back down the driveway a little bit, got back in on the wrong side of the golf cart once again, phone in hand, put her foot down, drove into the wall one more time. And I was like, and I'm just thinking about that in terms of flying cars. I don't think that's my major concern right there.
Drinking and flying.
Humanity.
Yeah, it's true.
Drinking and flying and yeah. But yeah.
Cell phones and flying cars. Sorry. I got ridiculous there, but I was like, also future things.
It's a fun future thing. Any other thoughts before we wrap things up here?
No. I would say nice. You answered my question. My other question was, are there things you want to do that you never will, and you probably never will go to space? And maybe someone's listening and they're going to take you. I don't know. But
maybe I don't want to I mean like if it's Jeff Bezos, I don't know if I want to get a jet with you, bro. If you're going up some other time, but like let me know who's going. If like William Shatner's going, cool. But like I don't want to be
your outfits will be cool.
Yes, that's true. But I don't want to be like I don't want to be on one of those space planes with like either of the Paul brothers, for example. So show me that guest list.
There are limits. I see.
There are limits.
Those are my thoughts. Yes. So, do you have any final thoughts about the future?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything I have in my notes there. Yeah. So yeah, shall we move on to our favorite question? What's been bringing you joy over the past week?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So here's what has been bringing me joy. Now, this will be dated, obviously, because you probably won't hear this until like a lot closer to Christmas. But I got all of my motherfucking Christmas shopping done.
Oh, yay!
In November.
Oh, I haven't done mine.
Fucking, I'm dunking a basketball. I smashed it. I did like, basically, I think Black Friday is a good time for me because I there's lots of like curated lists under like, you know, here's a board game section, and even though I won't necessarily buy something off Amazon, I kind of have an idea of the sort of thing I might want to buy a friend. So I look on Etsy, I look on Amazon at an area, and something will spring out to me. And I just was like, I literally did it one afternoon, and I just blitzed it all, and I was fucking so happy. So yeah, getting your Christmas shopping done.
Yeah, I mean that's I hate Christmas shopping and I need to do it. And I know it's like it's also like the time is getting closer, so it's all fine. Yeah. It's all fine. Okay, I'll stick with your theme. I'll raise you I decorated for Christmas.
Nice.
Which this is I haven't, other than once during COVID, which I don't even remember because I was so sick. I haven't done Christmas at home.
Yeah.
In like 12 years.
I
know, it's weird. So we did like the whole thing, set everything up. I put on Frank Sinatra Christmas carols. We made hot chocolate for the kids. They loved it. I was snarky in my brain, but they loved it.
I definitely have special memories of doing it with my mum and dad, so I can totally understand that. It feels.
I think it's like joy by proxy.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like the same sort of thing I talked to you about whenever I was over visiting you guys, and like it was Charlie's birthday, and I saw him like open presents, and I was like, this is the happiest I've been at like a birthday celebration in ages. Just the joy of like both the party and him opening presents, which is awesome, you know. So love it. Good one. Okay. So in that case, can you let everybody know where they can find us, please?
Yes,
Beth?
you cannot find us on Twitter. I just got tired of it.
Hooray.
Yay, so we're off that.
Fuck Twitter.
I thought about Blue Sky, but like I don't know if I want to.
In the long run, we'll see how it goes.
So if you have thoughts on that, I'm curious, listeners. But you can find us always at bendypodcast.com and your local meta purchased outlets like Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn and TikTok until that gets banned by someone. So
well, that's true. That's true.
I'm trying to keep up with the trends, y'all. I am trying. But you can always find us at our website.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks. In that case, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy.
That's like your little space ride right there. Up into space.
Yes,
and
it
down.
is.
All right.
You're welcome.
We love you guys. Bye.
We love you.